To have a market recession, to have a correction in any market, whether that be the auto market or anything, you have to have an abundance of supply. And that we are actually going way down on right now. So I don't understand how they're saying we're going to have a market, recession if there's not enough houses to go around right now. Do I think the velocity of sales is going down? Yes. But we're also losing a lot. We're losing, like in the Phoenix market, on average about 400 houses per week right now. Not data looking up, just go look it up. It's out there. We're losing 400 houses. There's just not enough sellers selling, even with the amount of buyers that are down buying right now. There's just not enough homes to go around. So eventually we're going to run back into that position of low inventory. It's going to hold housing prices high.
Welcome to the Uncensored Real Estate Podcast, where nothing is off limits. If you're interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate, and you want to learn some of the insider secrets and uncensored truths from the true professionals in and around real estate, you've come to the right place. Now, let's buckle up for the uncensored truth about real estate and join your host, Brian Cardenas.
All right, everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Uncensored Real Estate Podcast. If you are watching us on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you find out when we drop the next episode, which is next week. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please give us a 5-star rating and make sure you share it with your friends and family that you think can benefit from what we have to share with you guys. And today we have a special guest with us from here in Arizona. Finally, we've been out of town for so long. Well, not really out of town, but we've been visiting with people from all across the country. So we decided to come back here and have our friend Blake Clark with Limitless Real Estate join us. Blake, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, love to have you here. And the thing that I want to know from you, I think probably everybody wants to know, is how did you end up in real estate?
It's by accident. That's what I tell everybody, 100% by accident. Got into it. I owned a couple businesses, did e-commerce for a while, did some marketing consulting for other companies, and lost the 401k when I lost my job. Worked at big corporate America, had a job over at a big university. I won't name any names, but they ended up kind of going through some struggles and did away. They had a performance metrics, all the stuff, and they said, hey, no competitions allowed here at work anymore. We can't incentivize people based on pay. Ran a good team there. I was one of the top teams. And then one day I said, whoever makes the most outbound calls, I'll take you guys to lunch. And then they walked me out that day. They said, you're done, because that's considered competition.
Oh, jeez.
And I said, okay. And so I decided I'm never going to work for corporate America ever again. So when I made that decision, I lost the 401k and the retirement at that point. And so I just said, I got to do something. I've got to have some kind of game plan in place. And I was like, well, it seems like all the wealthy people are invested in real estate one way or the other. So I'll get my license and buy some rental properties. And that was it. It was never the intention to be where I'm at today. It was just, let me try this out, and I'll keep doing my marketing and consulting on the side and run my e-com businesses and just take my money and put it into rentals. And I had a friend come to me one day and was like, hey, you got your license, right? I was like, yeah, it's one of my old former coworkers. Can you help me buy a house? I was like, yeah, sure, let's do this. And so I helped him buy a house and got him a good deal on it, and then another. And then before you knew it, it's just did it kind of semi-part-time for the first year and did really good. And I was like, at the end of the year, I looked at my income and I'm like, man, I made more money part-timing this than I did at some of my corporate jobs. And by year 2, decided to go full scale on it.
So when you first started buying your rental properties, you had an agent help you out first, or did you? Okay.
Yeah.
What was your experience with the agent that you worked with the very first?
It's funny because I not just rental properties. Actually, my first house I had bought, really nice guy. I don't remember the process as a whole. He didn't really educate me, right? Like, I remember that was one of the biggest things when I bought my very first house. I was like 23 years old, and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's a good deal. It's a big house. I got a couple kids. I got a girlfriend at the time. Like, I need a home. And the mortgage payment was right in alignment with what rent was. It was like a foreclosure back in 2009. I think I paid $160K for this 2,800 square foot house on a golf course out in Queen Creek. Thought it was amazing because where I grew up, didn't come. We had like a little trailer I grew up in, so like to own something like that was like crazy. And so I got this house, but he didn't educate me. He was just, he could have told me whatever the heck that he wanted, and I probably would have believed him because I just didn't know. Yeah, but he was a nice guy. Second house I sold, I remember, great guy. We're friends today, but it was funny because I got referred to him through one of my other neighbors. He sold my house. It was all good. Never heard from the guy again. Guy was selling a house next door to us at the time too. And his wife walks right by. Didn't even wave at us. Didn't say hi. And I'm like, it's kind of messed up. I just did business with this guy and she doesn't even acknowledge us or anything. And so came time to sell that house that we were in that, you know, they'd helped us out with, and he shoots me a message. Mind you, I hadn't heard from this guy in like 2 years, right? I put a post on Facebook like, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. Boom. Immediately he messages me. I'm like, I haven't heard from you in 2 years. Not a hi. Your wife didn't even wave at us. We lived in the same neighborhood. And so I gave him honest feedback. I said, hey, truthfully, you're good at what you do, but I won't use you. You didn't follow up. I haven't heard from you in 2 years. The only time I hear from you is because I put a post on Facebook saying I'm selling. There was no engaging on my social media, anything. And he told me, he's like, hey, thank you for that, man. Honestly, it means a lot. And now we're cool. He actually messages me, and now we're in the same business. He's like, I had no idea I was going to create competition because now, you know, I sell houses too. But those were my experiences with agents. And so I was just like, you know, I got to do better on educating, and I got to do better with building relationships. And those have been kind of like the two things I try to work really hard on now. So.
And that's a really common thing I hear when I talk to agents all the time. Like, so many of them tell me they had a poor experience, not awful necessarily. Sometimes it's awful, but, you know, just not a great experience.
Sure.
And they're like, I could do this better.
Yeah.
And so they get into real estate and they figure out, okay, what was missing from my experience and how can I make it better? Mm-hmm. And so you're basically very interested in educating people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when somebody comes to you brand new, like first time home buyer,
yep.
What does that process look like for you? And what would you tell them, like how is the best way for them to figure out who to work with?
Yeah, so the thing is in sales is everybody has these great techniques. Like we have to sell everybody, and I don't really believe in selling everybody. Like more what I try to do is educate and let people see, hey, here's all the options that are available to you, and let me make sure you clearly understand this, because then they can make the best decision for themselves. That right there in this business will set you ahead of 90% of your competition, because most agents are just sell, here's the house, boom, boom, boom. To me, I take the approach of if it's a good move for you, it's a good move. If it's not, it's not. Here's all the pros and cons. Here's the things you should look out for. Here's the benefit. Here's a long-term strategy for you. Let's lay all your cards on the table and give you all the information you need, and let's strategize together. And that's been a game changer for me. That's why I believe in the education side of things, is because I don't want people to just trust me because they trust me. That's a great, you know, accolade to get from clients. Hey, we trust you, you know what you're doing.
Right.
But more or less, I think that if you educate them and you make them feel like they're a part of the process, and you say, listen, here's everything from start to finish. This is what to look out for. This is what it is. You're going to gain a client for life, at least at that point, because not only do they trust you, they know you're going to be honest with them, and you got integrity, and you can put your head down on the pillow and not feel like you had to sell them on anything. You know?
Right. So if is that just an interview process for the buyer? Like that, is that how they figure that out? Because
I'm a long-term strategy investing guy. Like I own rentals, and I believe in real estate because it's made me a millionaire a couple times. Like, to be honest with you, my family never invested in real estate. I just learned. Like, it was just one of those things. It's a slow game. There's nothing sexy about it. So I ask people, what do you want to get into real estate? You're renting right now. Why do you want to own? I just ask them that question. Well, I don't know. I want to own because I think I should own. Okay. Well, what do you think the benefits are of ownership, right? And what's the benefits of maybe buying that house, fixing it up, building the equity? And I'll share some of my stories. Here's how I bought my first house. Here's what I did with it. Here's how I did. Here's how you utilize the equity, and you can leverage it to buy a few more properties. And here's how you build up a multi-million-dollar portfolio if you do it right. You know, it's a slow game. It's not fun. You're not going to see it on the news. It's the next crypto thing like you see.
Right. But
if you stick with it, it's a proven track record that does work. And so we talk a lot about the benefits, but I'm always curious. One of the first questions is why? Why are you moving? What is it? What problem can I solve for you? Because there's some problems I can't, like, you know, sometimes it's just not the reason they're going to sell. They think they want to sell, and I'll talk them out of it. Hey, this just isn't a good strategy for you right now. Stay put. So,
right.
Yeah.
So maybe that'd be a good thing for people to hear is, like, take us from the first property that you purchased, and how did you leverage that into where you're at? Because I think that's people, you know, they think that they want to buy their own primary residence because they want a place to live, they want to own. That's great.
Yep.
But then taking that next step and actually turning it into wealth creation, I think a lot of people miss that.
First property I bought was this little crappy property down in Podunk town. It was out by Safford, Arizona, and people would have thought I was crazy. I paid $30K for this thing, but we were renting it out for $700 a month. So great ROI, cash on cash investment. The thing that people don't understand is they want these really nice big flashy town houses and stuff like that, but if you're looking at it from a cash flow perspective, you want something that's a little bit lower that rents high. Mining towns, small towns do really well because miners make good money. The thing is, they're kind of transient. They don't really know, hey, how long we're going to stay here for. So a lot of those properties, I bought one out in Superior and Globe, paid $30,000 for 2 properties on one piece of property. So I only had to pay 1 property tax on that. And I got to rent out 2 separate houses, bought it for $30,000, put $50K into it. They were built in 1910. So all in investment on that was $80K, rented the front house out for $800. Back house was renting for $600 a month on an $80K investment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. The next one I bought was $30K out there. We bought that for $30,000. We were renting that out for $600 a month, and I mean, nothing crazy, but cash flowing like crazy on that thing for what the mortgage was on it, until I finally paid it off. And then first property I bought for $160,000, lived in it and did all the work on that thing myself. That was a labor of love. That's where I tell first time home buyers, because they want that perfect home, right? You got they're excited, and I understand, and I talk them through it, but I'm like, listen, if you can buy the one that's a little bit ugly, fix it. And that's usually always a debate between like husband and wife, right? Because the wife wants a nice one, the husband's like, I can do it. But I remember on that house, I put tile in. It was a lot of learning lessons, It's just, I don't know how the heck to renovate a house, but that was my first one. I lived in it, painted cabinets. But that house we ended up selling for almost $300K. I bought it for $160,000, made a little over 130 something K net on that. My wife bought her house. I moved into her. She paid into her house. I think she had paid somewhere around $230,000, and we sold it for $360,000 a couple years later. Took both those funds, and we bought a house that was like the ugliest house in Sossaman Estates in Queen Creek, where we're at. This thing was on the market like 8 months, and it looked like a bag of Skittles inside. Just every wall was a different color. Carpet had the original carpet from 2008 in this thing. And she didn't see the vision. I was like, listen, this is what we can sell this thing for. So we took all of our money, moved into that, fixed it up, renovated it, flipped it. We put about $150,000 into it, and we sold that house for $650K 3 years later.
Wow. House
I bought right now, paid $750,000 for it, put about another $280,000 into it between a garage, shop, pool, backyard. It's worth $1.9 right now. So it's just getting houses that need a little bit of work that you could add equity value into. And then my other rental properties I picked up as a listing agent, went into a listing appointment, and sellers were just like, hey, I got a renter in here. I want to get rid of it. For example, one of them I bought went on a listing appointment. Guy bought it in 2008, right before the market had crashed. So he paid like $160,000, $170,000 for this thing in 2007, 2008. Market tanked. He didn't want a foreclosure. He's held it all this time and was renting it, and had a couple of elderly people that had just moved in, and they kind of a backstory behind it, but they were living there, and he was like, I think it was like 2017. It's actually the same month I bought my house I'm in now. I had a budget set aside of $80K to build a pool for our new house. And I went on this listing appointment. I walk in, and there's an elderly couple in there, and they were just super sad, like packing boxes. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, whoa, we thought we were gonna be able to stay here for forever. Our last rental we were in Phoenix, we were there for 38 years. I'm like, you guys were in the same rental for 38 years? Like, yeah, I was off Indian school and whatever, but the neighborhood went bad, and I guess somebody had hopped the wall and mugged the gentleman, my renter at the time when he lived there. He was like 80, and somebody punched him in the face, took his wallet in his own backyard. So his daughter moved him out to Queen Creek to be closer to her. So I feel bad. I'm like, oh, man, I'm the bad news guy. I'm showing up to sell this house, And so I'm running numbers, and I'm like, okay. So I go back to the seller. I'm like, why do you want to see? He's like, I just want it out of my name. I'm done. I'm living in Texas. I want to be out of this. And I was like, how about I buy it off you? So we go back and forth and make the numbers work. And so I bought it off him. I didn't even tell them I was buying it. We bought it, and then they thought they were moving out. And I went back and said, hey, I bought the house. You guys can just stay. And that's a charity case because I kept the rents the same. I haven't raised the rents on that house on them because I feel bad they're on a fixed income, but they take immaculate care of the thing. And yeah, a couple other properties, similar stories, just people, going through a divorce and split. One needs to stay. I'll buy it, let them rent it for me for a couple of years so they get back on their feet, get them, and, I buy them 80, 90K under value if they need work. But that's how it is. You just, I'm not a hardcore seeker for opportunity. It's just when the right opportunity presents itself in the field I'm in, I buy them and I keep them as rental properties, and got a good little portfolio going now.
And you can do that where you get a good deal and then still do something good.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to rape and pillage everybody to make money in real estate.
The numbers just have to make sense, right? And the cool thing about real estate on rental properties is that you get paid 4 ways in a good market, right? You get paid through appreciation as the values go up. And even in a bad market, if the value's not going up, you're still getting someone to pay your mortgage off for you through rents. You're still getting a tax benefit basically on that property where you get to deduct on taxes to get your tax liability down, and you're getting the cash flow per month. You're getting $200, $300, $400, $500 a month, whatever you're making on that. So in a down market, you're getting 3 out of the 4 benefits. In a good market, you're making 4. It's a solid investment, So for me, it's like, all right, every time I get 40, 50, 60K, just go buy a rental, put it down.
So you got 4 good ways to make money in real estate, and yet you have companies like Goldman Sachs coming out and saying, 25% drop in home prices in Phoenix and a few other markets. Talk about that.
I don't know. economically, it just doesn't make sense, right? And I'm one of those guys, like I look at everything from a real estate perspective. I'm just data driven. I'm not emotional in it. Every market's going to have a buyer's market. Every market's going to have a seller's market. Even in a down market or in a recession, life happens. There's still divorces happening. There's still people getting job relocations. If anything, it happens more. People get laid off. I got to move. I got to relocate from different states. You know, I got to downsize. So life just doesn't stop. Do I think the velocity of transactions stop? Yes, I think that slows down. I think your hobby, I call them hobby buyers is what it is, or hobby sellers, where, hey, I have a nice house. I kind of want to upgrade. It makes sense. Interest rates are lower over here, equity. I think those guys are sitting on the sidelines right now because we went from an environment of sub 3 to, you know, high 2 rates into an environment of, you know, 6%, 6.25-ish, maybe high 5s right now. So there's still a gap in affordability, I think, that's kind of missing for what people could have afforded a year ago to now, like what they're used to, and the housing prices haven't came down that much. But the backside of that is to have a market recession, to have a correction in any market, whether that be the auto market or anything, you have to have an abundance of supply. And that we are actually going way down on right now. So I don't understand how they're saying we're going to have a market, you know, recession if there's not enough houses to go around right now. Do I think the velocity of sales is going down? Yes. But we're also losing a lot. We're losing, like in the Phoenix market, on average about 400 houses per week right now. I'm not data looking up, just go look it up. It's out there. We're losing 400 houses. There's just not enough sellers selling, even with the amount of buyers that are down buying right now. There's just not enough homes to go around. So eventually we're going to run back into that position of low inventory. It's going to hold housing prices high, you know? So.
Yeah, that's the thing that, you know, their whole premise, I think, from the information that I was able to get, is that they think interest rates are going to be 6.5 through this year by the end of the year.
Which is fine, but that's going to hold sellers from selling. That's the problem. The ones that are sitting on, how many people, you know, especially in the finance industry, refinanced in 2020?
Yeah, like
a lot.
Almost everybody.
Correct. Right. 2020, 2021. So the problem is a lot of those people are sitting on high equity right now. So the argument of we're going to see a mass amount of foreclosures just isn't there, because people could put their house on the market right now. You know, over 85% of homeowners are positive equity right now in the Phoenix market. They could put their house up for sale right now if they got into a pinch at a discount and still not foreclose and sell it, but most likely that's not going to be the case. And interest rates are half what they're sitting on compared to where they are right now. So there's not a whole lot of motivation for sellers to sell. So I just don't see a massive abundance of supply coming that would cause a quote unquote recession per se.
Yeah, and we're already seeing it change, like as soon as the calendar flipped over in January.
Yeah.
Like
2,000 more houses went under contract last week than the week before.
Yeah.
Week over week. So that tells you buyers are out, you know, and especially as interest rates, I mean, even that jump from 7.5 down to like the 5s right now that we're in has caused a massive influx of buyers to re-enter the market. I mean, imagine when they hit a 4%.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, you know, the whole premise that they think it's going to stay that high, like who knows, it could, but you know, the whole reason it went up was inflation.
Yep.
And inflation's been coming down the last few months.
Absolutely.
And so as it continues to come down, mortgage rates are going to come right down with it.
Yep.
Brings the buyers back in, and then all of a sudden we're back to competing. I mean, the last contract we just got on Monday, they were going to ask for 2% in seller concessions, but they were offering $5,000 over list price.
Yep, to kind of wash it.
$750 purchase price, and the two other offers came in, and they had to ditch the seller concessions. So what do they end up doing? They're in a competitive situation, paying over list price again.
Yep.
To get the house.
Yeah, anytime you run into low supply, I mean, that's the thing. We're in the Phoenix market. I think this morning I checked, we're at 14,900, 800 listings total. And then if you remove condos out of that and you drop it down to single family homes, we're just over 10,000 right now. That's not a lot of single family homes and over 1 million plus people in the Phoenix market. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think they're wrong. Summarize it with that.
Yeah. Short answer is they're on crack.
Nothing at all. Zero economic factors are pointing to a recession this year that I can see. So yeah.
Yeah, and even if we hit a recession with job losses that the Fed is trying to accomplish, typically home prices are stable or go up during a recession anyway.
Right.
So it's like the 25% thing. I think, I always look at what's the motive behind
there's some
the
kind
message.
of
Like what is their goal? Like, they're an investment company.
Yep.
And they work by getting people to invest with them. And then what are they investing in? Go do a little research.
They're
See,
trying to steer
the
market a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Because nobody on Wall Street has ever tried to manipulate the market before,
never.
right?
They
This
wouldn't
would
do
be
that.
the first time.
Ever. They would never do that.
You say GameStop. But yeah, I mean, so you think about where's the motivation there, and then they're like the outliers out there. Yeah. Everybody in terms of interest rate predictions, nobody's at 6.5. Like they're the only ones.
No.
So I think when people get scared by a headline, like the most important thing is do a little research, consider the source, what's the motivation, and then talk to people who are doing this every single day.
Yeah, and the thing is, we were looking at some of this too in the trends, and you can see if you look at, if you take side by side, so you take the active inventory trends over the last 20 years, basically, and then you coincide that with the interest rate trends. Almost always do they line up where you see interest rate spike and then you see inventory basically spike up. And it always lasts, not always, but always lasts right to 10 to 14 months in the increments of you see inventory go up and then you see it come back down. You see inventory go up and it comes back down. Those little waves from peak to valleys are 10 to 14 months. The interest rates started going up in March, really is what it was as of last year. It's really started April, May is when it really took off. And we're already in February and they're on their way right back down. So we're kind of, it's as much as it doesn't feel like it, we've been in an environment of high rates now for going on almost a year, touch and base. You know what I mean? They're on their way back down. Housing market slowed. I mean, I think some people are kind of still a little bit delusional and think that it's got another way to go, but I think we're going the other way personally, based on what we're seeing right now. So.
Yeah, when you take all the factors into consideration, you look at the data. I don't know how you draw any other conclusion that we're going to have stable home prices, if not increasing.
Yeah.
I don't think I haven't heard anybody talk about, out of control appreciation rates like we had in 21 and 20.
And I don't think we're going to have it be as competitive as it was either in 2020. I think, we're not going to see 3,500 house. I mean, we could. I don't think the buyers will be there at the velocity they were with the rates being what they were. I mean, anytime you drop rates into a sub 2% historic low, you're going to accelerate spending, which is exactly what they wanted to do. They did it too well, actually. Market went a little crazy. I don't think we're going to get back to that point. But I also think that we're going to get back to a low inventory market again. And then I think at that point, it'll be interesting to see what happens, when rates, if rates come back down, I think they might peak out in the 5s for a little bit, hang out in that range. I don't know, maybe by the end of the year, 4s. You probably know a little bit better than I do. But I think that when they drop down into the 4s, I think we're really going to see an accelerated market personally, because I just don't see the supply being there. So that's the problem. And then what happens is housing prices start to really rise again with low supply, and then you'll probably see more sellers start to enter the market at that point. But I think it's only going to get more hot again before it even starts to peak out personally. But that's me. We'll see.
So, for somebody that's sitting there right now wondering, should I do something now, what would you tell them?
They're a buyer, absolutely. I've been having this conversation with them. The biggest concern buyers have is they're stuck on, what if the market goes down? I don't think it's going to go down again. And they're stuck on, well, rates are high. Well, here's the thing. You can't refinance a purchase price on a house. You own the house, you buy the house, you're married to that purchase price. You can't go back in 2 years or 3 years and say, hey, I'm just not happy. The market's adjusted. Can you guys go ahead and shave $20K off my house? It doesn't
It'd be cool
happen.
if you could.
It'd be amazing if you could. It'd really suck if you can go the other way and they say, hey, your house is appreciated. We're going to tack on 30, 40K. But with that being said, you can adjust on a rate, right? The rates go up, the rates go down. So a lot of people kind of think they're smarter than the market. They think that I'm going to sit on the sidelines and I'm going to wait for the rates to come down. Nobody else is going to figure this out, but I will know the rates come down, and I'm going to buy that house at the bottom when it's not competitive and the rates are low before everybody figures it out. And you try to explain to them, it doesn't work that way. It's really hard to time the market, but what you can bank on is, I always bank on, you can't really worry about the rates. What you need to worry about is the purchase price of the home and what that's going to look like, and does it fit your particular needs. What's it most likely going to do? I personally think housing prices are going to start to go back up. We've seen the price per square foot drop, and if you look at now for the last 3 weeks, it's going back up. Now, our list prices are going up, sales prices are starting to go up. Price decreases are going pretty dang low right now. We're not seeing nearly as many price cuts as we have because it's getting more competitive. If I had to bank on what the rest of the year is going to look like, I think inventory is going to get lower. I think you're going to have fewer houses to choose from. I think you're going to start seeing it get pretty competitive again. I think you're going to see sellers be less willing to give as much concessions as they were, larger price cuts. And then so I'd say lock in now is what I'm telling my clients, at least, if it's a home you love, it's everything you need. The purchase price you're pretty good with. It's just the rate that's a little, scary to you. Got a couple options. You got 2-1 buy downs, 3-1 buy downs, and then most likely you get your rate down, have a seller concession come in. You get offset it that way, and then in 2 to 3 years, most likely that rate will be lower than where we are today. Can we guarantee it? No. But if I had to guess, it'll probably be a little bit lower than where we are right now. Refinance into a fixed rate at that point. That's one way around it.
Yeah, and for first-time home buyers out there, one of the things that we're doing a lot with people is, let's say you've got really good credit scores. Normally, we'd put you in a conventional loan, just because your payments are going to be lower that way than FHA.
Absolutely.
But if you're worried that home prices are going to go down and then rates are going to go down and you're not going to be able to refinance, go FHA. Like we put both numbers in front of people.
Yep.
You might have a little higher payment today, but
Yeah.
you're going to have the ability to streamline refinance no matter what happens with the home value.
Give them options.
So yeah, you got to have those choices put in front of you, because the default is always high credit score, go to conventional.
Sure.
But now some of the changes that are coming in May for
Makes
people,
sense on an FHA.
yeah, you're going to have higher cost than today if you have high credit scores. You're actually going to have lower cost than it is today if you have lower credit scores on conventional loans. So it's, the government's trying to do what they can to make homeownership more possible for people.
Yep.
So, they're trying to do that. They're trying to give incentives. We've got down payment assistance that can be used. You got seller incentives, seller credits. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to go out and buy.
Right now. Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to sit by and try to time the market. I like how you put it though, like you think you're smarter than everybody else, because that's what it boils down to.
There's just you and everybody else out there that's watching the market out there, but it's that's the best piece of advice we can give. We're telling people is, listen, do you like the house? Do you like the area? Do you like the price? Because here's the thing, is the market going to go down? Could be in a little bit. It's going to go up. Could be in a little bit. Why does that matter? Does it matter if you're planning on flipping it or selling it? Maybe. If you're an investor, pay attention to that stuff. But ultimately, if you're going to buy the house and you're going to stay there 2, 3, 4 years, making a decision today on what could happen in 6 to 8 months is a little bit different than, hey, I'm going to park here and live here and call it a place. And, again, I look at the data. So I don't know. That's what we're telling people. It's, it's going to get hot. You're going to get competitive, and then you're going to be frustrated again. So
and
we're already seeing it. Like, we've had houses that it's the funniest thing too, because I'm primarily a listing agent these days. I got a lot of listings, and all of a sudden now, especially these last 4 weeks, things have really started to go under contract. And then I get calls from these agents. Oh, my buyer was super interested in that property. Well, why didn't they put a friggin' offer in? Every time without fail. Well, they were just hoping it was going to come down. Well, did you talk to it? Well, no, So the buyers are there. They're watching. It's just they have it in their mind that, it's going to tank and it's going to go further. And I think you're going to have a lot of frustrated buyers as they start to see these houses go. Price is not falling. And then they're going to have the same conversation. Dang, why didn't I buy it when it's slower? It's like, we tried to tell you guys. So.
Well, that's where the real estate agent's job is to really be in communication with people and letting them know the pulse of the market. And you have a lot of data that you provide. I don't know that all agents really
it's education. This is why, like on my Facebook, people that follow me on Monday, I do a Monday market update and I put the data out there. I put the charts, I put the graphs, I walk them through it. It's very non-biased. I have nothing. Listen, I buy houses and I sell houses. I win in a buyer's market and I'm going to win in a seller's market. We do both sides. I have no horse in the race to have the market go one way or the other. I think there's opportunity in every market. There's opportunity for buyers in one market, opportunity for sellers. What we can do is educate everybody and ride the wave, basically. That's what I tell it. Hey, the last couple of years is a great seller's market. Take advantage of it. Take your funds. Buy a couple more properties here and there. Buy smart. Buy investment properties with that. Don't blow your money. Buyers, hey, get in there and buy right now. This is a good deal. This is a good buy. This is a bad buy. I wouldn't buy this. So it's the data. So that's why my whole point is on Monday, we would put houses up like Facebook groups and you get these people to argue with us. Way overpriced. There's no friggin' way people are going to pay that. I sell a lot of high-end homes out in Queen Creek, $3-4 million homes. And I get people all the time tell me, hey, way overpriced. That's crazy to ask for Queen Creek. Well, I'm selling them all the time. You may think so. Maybe your budget, it's overpriced. Right. But did you know Queen Creek's one of the highest income per capita cities in the state? No way. They call me out like I'm a liar. I'm like, go to Google. Like, I don't have anything to gain from this. Like, it is what it is. That's the data, right? Like, that's what I look at. I don't get emotional. So when you put the data out there, it's really hard to argue about it. You got somebody who says, hey, foreclosures they're coming. Okay, well, here's the data. Here's actually foreclosures are lower now than they were even 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Too many people have equity. What makes you think of foreclosure? Well, because people are going to lose their jobs. Okay, cool. But they got $300,000 to $400,000, $300,000 in equity. You realize they could just put their house up for sale, even at a discount of $100,000, and sell that thing without it going to foreclosure. You understand that. People they think what they want to think instead of saying, here, let me let the data educate me and guide me on my decisions. And that's how I do business. It's not emotional at all. Here's what it is. Here's the data. Here's the facts. Let me educate you, and let's build a plan together that makes sense for you guys.
Well, it's the headlines, I think, that people get caught up in. They see the headline, they don't dig deeper, they don't do their own research, and they start formulating opinions on those headlines that they see. And, some of the stuff, I think politics is an area where people maybe started to learn a little bit that you don't pay attention just to headlines. You got to dig deeper.
These last 2-3 years have really, I hope people pay attention. And
But it's the same thing in real estate. Like, the same thing with that Goldman article I'm talking about. If you don't dig down and see what the basis for their reasoning is, then you miss it. Same thing. There's articles about foreclosures are on the increase. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you just see the headline, that's all you see. But if you actually read a little bit farther, you see it's an increase from the absolute lowest in history. Yeah. And it's still lower than it was pre-pandemic.
Which, by the way, they couldn't foreclose on anybody because of all the memorandums that were in place. So, of course, it's going to increase a little bit from that because nobody could foreclose. So, where do you go from there? There's only ground zero, guys.
But people don't see it. They just see the headlines and they start freaking out on headlines without, like, doing the research.
Yeah. I had that talk with my dad. I don't watch the news anymore. I gave that up, like, 6 years ago. I think whenever the last, not this one, but the one before that presidential election, I just got tired of it. I was like, you really start to learn. Like, I had this talk with my dad the other day. He called me and he was talking about some headline like, this is going to happen. And I'm like, let's educate you. Okay. What does the news and media sell? And he's like, I don't know. Like, no, seriously, what product do they have to sell you? Like, what do they sell you? And he's like, I don't think anything. I was like, okay, so how do they make money? Like, if they don't sell you anything, if they don't sell you a product, they don't sell you a service, how do they make money? And he's like, I don't know. Like, this is my own dad, right? This is somebody that, like, raised me, and I'm, like, having to educate him on this stuff. It's
turn of events.
Yeah, turn of events, right? I was like, they get paid on advertising. Like, they get paid, the more eyeballs, the more views. This goes for any TV show. The more eyeballs they get on their station, the more people are willing to advertise. If they know, hey, a couple million people are tuning into us at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., that's called prime time. That's no different than a billboard on the side of I-10 versus a billboard out in Florence, Arizona. The one that's got more eyeballs on it, they're going to make more money on this. So how do they get more eyeballs on TV? He's like, I don't know. I was like, by news stories, right? They create the drama. They like to create these eye-popping headlines, and they create the next scare and all these things to get people to watch. There are people just like you that are calling their son and telling them this is what the news is saying. I was like, so when you think about the agenda behind what they do, of course they're going to over-exaggerate everything and blow it out. Why is there no good news on the news? Because nobody cares about good news, unfortunately. It's frustrating. That's why I don't watch it anymore. I don't pay attention to that stuff. So that's a whole other topic. But
yeah, let's talk about politics. Create a whole other podcast on politics and advertising.
You want to buy a house, but high interest rates have got you down? Take the rate challenge and send us a verifiable loan estimate from another lender, and we'll beat it and pay for your appraisal up to $600. Here at Give Mortgage, being powered by UMortgage allows us to provide you with unmatched speed and efficiency and the best rates and fees in the market, all while delivering you the concierge level service you deserve. We want you to have an experience getting a mortgage that you'll never forget, and not because you got put through a meat grinder to get it. At Give Mortgage, we give great advice, we give the best rates, and we give back to charity. Visit us at www.give-mortgage.com or call us at 480-331-4684 to schedule a free consultation to see how we can help.
So I wanted to ask you, though, so your brokerage, you guys are independent.
Yep.
And so when the consumer is trying to figure out, like, who do I have represent me, whether I'm buying or selling, and they see the names that are out there, that are big names, they might be nationwide companies. What difference does it make for the consumer with the brokerage that they go with?
I don't think any, as much as people may disagree with me on that. I look at my own business in a perspective. Nobody and not one of my clients has ever came to me when I switched brokerages and said, well, I can't work with you anymore because you're not with that brokerage. They work with me because it's me, right? I am the product. I am the person that's providing the service. So, vice versa. I've never had anybody. With that being said, there's a reputation that goes behind it. Like, you have to have a good business, you have to have a good reputation, you have to have good systems, processes, training, you have to turn out a good product, which as a brokerage owner, that's my job now, to turn out a good product, aka a good agent, educate them, give them options, give them menus, sustain a high level of integrity with us, and basically make sure we're always doing the right things by the consumer. But ultimately, what a lot of agents get mixed up on, and I have this as a brokerage owner, I have this conversation 100 times before. How much business did you get by going to this company? How many people called you up and said, hey, I just saw you made a switch to this company. I was going to hire this person. You're my person now. Zero. You're not going to find a damn agent that comes to me. Oh, you went to so-and-so brokerage? Yeah, then I absolutely have to use you now because you're no, it's not about that. Because every brokerage has amazing agents, every brokerage, and every brokerage has subpar agents. What it really comes down to is who's a good agent, who's a good person and what they do, who's good at business. So, to combat a lot of that, what we focus on is turning out a good quality agent is what we focus on. And with that being said, it's not, we all pass the same test. We all pass the same exam. For anybody that follows me on social media, this is why I'm so big on personal development as a whole, because listen, if your personal life's a freaking wreck, if you're not happy, if you're not good at business, if you're not good at finances, you're not good at numbers, you're not mentally prepared for the tough days, I don't care how much knowledge you have. I know real estate agents and brokers that could memorize every single page of the real estate law book, but mentally, we're stronger than they are. Mentally, we get up and we show up every day. Mentally, we focus more than they do. We're better marketers. We're better advertisers. We're more well-rounded person and business person as a whole, so we'll get more business. And I know people on the opposite side of that. They're great in these areas, but they're horrible at all the knowledge of real estate, and they suck too. So my whole passion and purpose behind what we did when we started our brokerage was, let me develop good humans, good people that are great at real estate, but also great marketers and great at being in shape and great at being overall happy, right? Because if your life's a friggin' wreck, it's probably gonna be hard that not a whole lot of people can say, hey, my business is phenomenal, I'm amazing and excelling here, but over here my life's a friggin' wreck. They usually, at one way or the other, it's gonna muddy the waters in the center. So if I can create a great person all around on that, that's my whole goal. That's what sets us apart. So
yeah, and I would imagine, not being a real estate agent myself, but I would imagine that your approach to developing your agents is pretty unique compared to most broker owners who may or may not even be business involved in the business day to day.
A lot of people think it's business. I mean, it is. We do talk about a lot of it. And I mean, the cool thing is we have a really connected culture. Like everybody talks to each other for the most part. You got some agents that are just a little more private, which is fine. But ultimately, like every transaction we do, every deal, we have a big group chat. So I'm huge on, if you're a newer agent, right, you got to earn the confidence. Well, the way to get confidence is get there and do deals. And so, of course, there's going to be a learning curve where you're like, I'm just not confident or comfortable or because I don't have the experience. Well, the quickest way to ramp you up to that is let me sink you into our world of deals. So like every transaction I get, I just got 2 more listing appointments this morning. Go in the group chat. Here's how I got this listing. Here's how I did it. Here's how I found this lead. Like I'm walking them through the whole process. I pull every curtain back on my business. I'm an active producer myself. So a lot of what we focus on is that side of the training and coaching, but also like, anybody that follows me on social media, get your ass up at 4 a.m. because I get it. Most of our agents are moms, working moms. They got kids. They're dads that, some of them still have to work a job. If you're waking up at 6, 7 a.m. and you're giving yourself to your friggin' world and you're not giving any time to yourself to really plan your day out, take that mental health time for yourself in the morning, you're not going to be that good at what you do. It is what it is. Some people are. So I focus a lot on them on the personal development side of life as a whole, just being a well-rounded individual, really dialing in on what do you want out of this, right? Nobody wants to be a real estate agent and be on the real estate agent hamster wheel till they're 80 years old. Yeah. I'm just going to be honest. Like when I got into this business, I had zero intention of becoming a real estate agent. I just wanted to buy my own. Here I am owning a brokerage and got 60 agents underneath me. But where I'm going to, like I've utilized my real estate license as, avenue. I own other businesses around real estate and things like that. What's your end game? Why are you here? What are you working towards? Because if every day you're just working to do a transaction and do some deals and get in my freaking downline and make the upline money and stuff, that's a never ending game you're not going to be happy with. Yeah. So if I can really paint that picture of, okay, what does your end game look like for you? Okay, great. Let's walk it backwards and let's figure out how your real estate license is going to help you get there. What tools do you have at your disposal? What areas do we need to work on with you? It really creates, puts in the pieces of that puzzle that are missing for them and helps them stay motivated in most cases. So yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of investment that you're making in them as a person, not just as an agent. Yeah. And I don't know that's going on anywhere else.
Yeah. You look at our agent to deal ratio, it's one of the highest right now out of any brokerage. I think we're ranked like number 11 in the East Valley on brokerages right now. Yeah. Which is cool. We only started a year and a half ago. But our agent to deal ratio, the one thing that was like, I told myself was like my last brokerage I was at a really big brokerage. I won't name any names on that, but they had like 260 agents. My team had 11. They did in 2020, 1,100 transactions. My team did 100. No, I take that back, 298 of those 1,100 transactions between 8 of us. And that number didn't sit well with me. It was cool to say, hey, we did this many deals, but my immediate thought goes to how much talent's wasted between these other 250 agents that are sitting here not doing the volume and velocity that we are when we're all playing in the same sandbox. What's the difference? Well, the difference is you had a brokerage that just said, hey, come hang your license here. If you need me, maybe give me a call here and there. And that's it. They didn't check in. They didn't follow up. They didn't create a culture of, hey, let's do a bunch of deals. So for me, when I created this, it's like, no, let me take what worked on a team of 10 doing the volume we did, and let's magnify that and open that up to an entire brokerage now. And that's what we've done.
That's why I think a lot of people lose sight of the big picture because, they get focused on, well, what's my split? Like, how much am I going to make on every single individual transaction? And then you don't look at the fact that you're not going to do as much business in that kind of an environment because you don't have the support system that you need to actually learn how to grow.
This is one of these questions I ask that throws me off every time because it just goes to show how shallow agents really think of their business. And I'll say, how much are you making right now per year? 100, 120 a year, maybe. They're doing okay. What's your splits? Flat fee. Cool. If I was charging you 50% and you took home $500K with me, would you pay it? No. Why? Almost 90% of the time the answer is no. Why? Well, because you're charging me 50%, but you're taking home.
They're pretty bad at math then.
But you're taking home $500,000. And I don't charge 50%, by the way, but I use that as an extreme analogy with agents just to get that out on the table with them right now. Because I like to hear where their mind's at. Like, what am I dealing with here? Am I dealing with somebody that truly understands the value of their license and what they're here for? Because that's the thing. If you're just coming to hang your license with me, I don't need you. It's
not the right place.
It's not the right place. You got so many other brokerages to go hang your license with. I want people that come in here that want to be integrated into our culture, want to be a well-rounded business person, and I want to see you freaking grow. If you come into my company, hang your license, and then go hide in the corner, I don't need that. Like, it taking up more of my space. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and it doesn't affect the culture the right way.
No,
like that brings down the culture that you're trying to create by having people who are not productive, not happy.
I'm gonna pour into you. That's the thing. Like, I am gonna pour into you every friggin' day. I'm gonna be on there talking to you, coach. When you come in my office, I'm gonna wave at you. Hey, sit down. Let's talk. Like just this morning, we had 4 agents sitting at my conference table. I went in there for an hour and just talked to them. Hey, talk to me. What do you guys got going on in your lives today? Like, I take a vested interest in these people, so I don't need people there that don't take a vested interest in themselves. But the split conversation always comes up, and I get that's the number one question. And the real question is, how can you help me put more money in my pocket? What resources do you have? What training do you have? What kind of a culture do you have that's going to help me take more money home? But I always love that question. Yeah, I'm like, if I charge you 50%, you're taking home $500,000, would you do it? No, you're charging me 50%. But in your current environment, you're only making 100 at flat fee. What's better?
Yeah.
Well, flat fee is like this right here is what differentiates. This is what differentiates a transaction facilitator, because that's what you are. You're not a facilitator to a true business owner, true real estate person. Hey, I'm going to spend a little more, but if I invest this much, aka a split, and it's going to make me this much money, it's going to provide all these resources, tools, training, coaching. Like, one of the biggest things I do for some of my new agents, hey, if you got a listing appointment, call me. I'll come close the deal for you. I just made you $8,000 more because I hopped in a car. What other brokers hopping in a car with you and going and closing deals and stuff? Just little things like that. I can immediately right there cover their office fees in an entire year by me going to one listing appointment and help them close that deal as a brand new agent.
Yeah.
They don't understand it. A lot of people don't get it.
The mentality, like, would you rather have half of a watermelon or 100% of a grape? Like,
Exactly. So,
and people choose the grape because they're getting 100% sometimes.
They hear that 100%. They don't hear it. What's important to you, though? Net money in your pocket every year. But yeah. That's
now, I'd have to imagine, though, too, that it's not just the personal development that you're working on, but like the marketing background, your e-commerce business. Tell us a little bit about that. How does that impact what you're able to do in real estate? So
from a marketing perspective, I'm very unattached to spending money, as crazy as that sounds. Like, to give you a ballpark on some of my e-commerce businesses, we were doing close to like $8 million a year in revenue on a couple of products. And, in some of those months, like in a high spend month, we're like $250,000 a month in ad spend. So when people cry about spending $400 a month on mailers, like,
kind of falling on deaf ears.
If you're spending this, what's the output, right? That's what I tell people. If you're going to scale a business, what is your outputs? Like lead gen's a huge one. We spend a lot of money on leads. We're getting probably close to 800 leads a month right now that we provide to our agents and brokerage. That's one of my selling points. I've been doing that for 4 years now, right? So you come in my database, I've got a database of 24,000 leads. At any given time in my brokerage's database, we have 140 leads online every 24 hours, ranging from somebody that registered 4 or 5 years ago, they've been nurturing, to 4 minutes ago. Go ahead and spend the money you need to spend to try to build a database of 24,000 leads. I always relate it to like baking a cake for people because they think they're just going to get in the business and spend a bunch of money and be crazy successful. I'm like, there's also a time frame on this, right? Like, if you're baking a cake, you have all the ingredients to bake this cake. You can try to bake that cake in 10 minutes and it's going to taste like shit. You know what I mean? You could try to bake that cake in 2 hours. Like, there's an optimal time frame where you're going to get in business. You're going to have to just, there's a lead nurture process and things like that. So there's a lot of benefits to us in that standpoint. So again, I try to teach people like, hey, this is what it looks like on the back end. And so like e-commerce, it's always testing. Like, that was the thing. Like, it was the craziest thing we would do. If we're spending money, like, we'd be spending $5,000 a day and we would take 3 ads, all of them. We'd do a highly professional ad. And I just look at, this is where I nerd out because I'm a data guy. So I would do a cell phone photo. I'd just change it up, and then we'd let the data, what's converting the absolute best at what they do. With that being said, we have a knowledge on the Facebook platform that not a lot of just average agents not going to have. Like, we can target specific neighborhoods, even though Facebook took away geofencing. I know how to do that still because of how we do stuff, and I can serve ads to very particular people. I've had certain agents that I've served an ad. I made a video for them and went on my Facebook and found them, and I served them an ad, basically to me, to them, find them. Like, I can get that granular on my targeting if I really wanted to, and I teach all my agents how to do that stuff. So it's a lot of power that you can use at your disposal if you use it right and you understand, like, there's a strategy behind it, you know. So the e-com world taught me a lot of that stuff where, like, yeah, you can spend a lot of money, but you got to make sure you're paying attention to the data and feeding it, and there's a nurture process, you know what I mean? We have a retarget campaign where they'll visit our website. If they don't buy, it sends them another video, and if they don't buy, I can serve them another video. Hey, I saw you watch this video and you still haven't made a decision. It's me again. Boom. You know, you're walking them through and you're sending them 5 videos that are all chaining off each other, where you've built a relationship with this client without them ever saying a word to you through video targeting ads. And I've had a lot of people call me like, dude, how are you doing this? Like, you know what I mean? And that's the stuff I nerd out on. I love that stuff. So.
And are you able to easily communicate that value to a seller? Because, like, that's what a seller should really understand.
Here's the thing, like, anybody that follows us on social media, there's power in numbers too. Like, I got 60 agents, and we are very well known from a social media perspective. Anybody that follows us, you're going to see our boom, boom, boom brand. We get listings, and we immediately, like, if you get listing photos, boom, blast it out to the brokerage. Here you guys go, mark it away. And we can show that data on the back end, but you got 60 agents, and then you multiply that by how much reach each one of us have on average right now, how many eyeballs are getting on your guys' property and listings right now, you know? So that's just, and my favorite question is, hey, have you guys seen Limitless around before? Yep, we've seen you guys. We're at Facebook, all over the damn place. We've seen you. You know, if we got listings in certain neighborhoods, we've taken those over. I go through and I buy Facebook groups. We own 14 of them right now. That any of one of our competitors we've gone through and offered them cash, and we'll buy a group, and we own that group now. You know what I mean? So you can't not see us somewhere out there. And ultimately, hey, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, what am I here for? To sell my house. Okay, what's involved with selling your house? Getting as many eyeballs on it as possible. Well, that's what I'm really good at. Would you agree? Have you seen my stuff? Yeah, we see you friggin' it. Okay, sounds good. And that sells the deal right there in most cases, you know. So
yeah, and some people I guess lost sight of the value of marketing to sell a home in the last couple of years, because
it was easy.
Like, you put on MLS and it was gone within a few hours.
Yeah.
But it's not that way right now.
Right.
Like, you've got to be able to effectively market a property to get it sold.
Yeah. You got to market it. You got to negotiate it. You got to understand your numbers. Like, especially right now, we're in an environment where appraisals are starting to come in kind of low, which is interesting. We're seeing a lot of that right now. And you have to be able to adjust. You have to really know your numbers. That's the thing. Like, is it a justified low appraisal, or is there pushback? Because we've had some where the appraisal is like ridiculously low, and we've gone back and we fought it and we got it up. So we walk them through that process. Here's, just so you know, be prepared for this. This is how we get the appraisal back up. This is what we're, again, but it comes down to educating them. We go into that listing appointment. Here's the data. Here's the numbers. Here's what we're seeing. You're building a plan side by side. Okay, if you understand we're listing this high, you're seeing the same data I'm looking at here. You know this is higher, right? So in the event there is a possibility we come up on a low appraisal, we know we're pushing the market. Here's our options. We either got to take a appraisal waiver contingency, we got to do a cash, things like that. So you walk them through and you prepare them, and then that way through that whole process it goes so smooth because you've already educated them on there's no surprises like, oh wait, my house came in low on appraisal. Yeah, I remember we talked about that. We went through,
Yeah.
But I tell my agents, like, that's the thing too, is I always take an approach like we're marketers first. We're real estate agents, but so is everybody else. That's the other 60, 70,000 licensed agents out there, but you're a marketer, because with no leads, without marketing, you got no business. Like, you and I probably both know amazing agents, incredible. Nobody knows them. They're not good at marketing. They sit at their house all day and they literally wait for people to come knock on their door and ask for business. And then we got agents that they're not that good at being an agent, but they're incredible marketers and they have tons of reach and they get a lot of business. It's the more eyeballs they can get on them. So, I think this day and age, your strategy should be a really good marketer. And if you're not comfortable with it, become a really good marketer, because that's how you're going to get business today.
And that's what's changed a lot in the industry. Both in real estate and mortgage, is like, you have to be a marketer who happens to sell houses or mortgages.
You got it.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
And if you don't do that, like, you could be the greatest technician in the world.
Yep.
And you're not going to have any business.
Social media completely leveled the field for everybody. It no longer said, hey, I got to spend $10,000 a month in billboard ads and newspaper ads and all. No, now it's, I got this really cool smartphone device, and all it takes is 30 seconds of my time to make a video, and I can market the same as you now. And it's cool. I love it. It's gotten creative. It pushes the envelope. I was laughing at a video I did like 4 years ago. It popped up, and I'm like, God, I've come such a long way in marketing because that looked really stupid. Back then, I thought it worked good. I shared it to my brokerage. I'm like, see, even I sucked back then. We were all laughing at it, but it's cool because now I look at it, I'm like, gosh, but it's crazy because what I thought was considered really good back then, which it was, is like so subpar today to what everybody else does now because it evolves so fast, which I love it. It keeps me creative.
But the same thing, I mean, even though you look at it now, you look back 4 years ago, that sucked. The fact that you just did it, it didn't matter whether it really sucked or it was good.
It looked so stupid.
You just did it.
It looked so dumb. It was so production. If I was in a suit, I had a comb over. I looked like I was trying to get somebody out of a friggin' DUI charge. I was a DUI. I'm like, you need somebody aggressive that fights for your house. I'm like, this looks like shit. I can't believe I did this. I was like laughing at myself. I was like, I totally look like an attorney on this friggin' deal.
Okay, you gotta send me that.
Where my strategy is so laid back now. My strategy is like on social media, just educate people every day. Let me just let me share behind the scenes. Let me share who I am. My whole goal has always been, if somebody calls me in for a listing appointment or an agent ever says, hey, I want to come to your brokerage and work for you, there's no wall between who I am on this side of the social media and this side. They're like, you're exactly who the hell we thought you were, and that way the quality of lead that comes into me is much better. The agent's like, I know why I'm here. I know who you are. I've been following you. I know exactly what I'm getting with you. That's why I'm here. It's not, oh, you want a brokerage? I think I want to be here. Oh, wow, you're not who I thought you were. See ya. The same thing.
I mean, the sales process has changed. You've already sold them by the time you're sitting in front of them.
Yeah.
And the sitting in front of you part of it is just confirmation that what they saw before is real.
So you say you are.
As long as you're not full of shit, saying you're one thing and then you're totally different, then the sale's already made.
The only thing they ever say is you're a lot taller in person than we think you are on social media. I don't know. Everybody thinks I'm shorter online. They meet me in person like, you're tall. I'm like, do I not look tall online? I don't know.
It's weird. I went to we had an event in last September in Vegas, and I just changed over to UMortgage in July, so I never met the owner of the company. Mm-hmm. So we get there, and Anthony's not tall. Yeah. He's vertically challenged. Yeah. And I walk up to him and meet him. He goes, "You're a tall guy." Like, what? I look short online. Yeah. He goes, "Yeah, kind of." I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I do the camera angles high.
I think that's what it is for me too. Everybody says the same thing. So, but other than that,
move the camera down a little bit. Shoot up your nose.
Shoot up to the sky or something in there. Like bring it from their angle. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's funny, but I mean, it's so important because and everybody. Not everybody. A lot of people are afraid to just get online and get on video and do that stuff on social media.
Get over yourself. That's all I tell people. Get over. Like, you can't be that self-centered with yourself that you're worried about that much that people think. I had a talk there. It was literally, I think, like yesterday. One of my agents I was talking to, super good agent too. She's great at what she does. She was just like feeling super insecure about what she, like, oh, I'm afraid to talk to them. I'm like, why? She's like, I don't know. I think they're gonna judge. Like, anybody told you anything before? She's like, well, no. Has anybody said anything about any? Well, no. Well, then why do you think that? I don't know. I'm like, so is it you telling yourself that, or is it people actually telling you that? And it's so true for so many people. They're afraid to be judged by people. And I'm like, who cares? Like, they have an unfollow button. If they don't want to see you, unfollow. And it's the craziest thing too, because I got so many people they'll watch my stories for like 3 years at a time. And then last week, I think I didn't make a story for like a morning. I just didn't feel like it. I just got up. I was like, hey, I'm going to go walk for my dog. I'm going to enjoy it this morning. I'm not going to make a story. I'm going to give my neighbors a break from hearing me yell at them through a camera at 4 a.m. I'm sure like Ring doorbells are just capturing me walking my whole neighborhood in the morning, just yelling at 4 a.m. and stuff. Nobody said anything. But I was like, I'm just going to give it a break. I don't feel like it today. Just didn't feel like it. And I got like 3 DMs that day. Hey, you didn't make a video today. Is everything okay? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you haven't never messaged me. I'm like going through. I'm like, yeah, I've never got a message from this person. They've been following me. So people watch. It adds value to people. And I don't know. People get too into themselves. They worry about other people judging them. I'm like, get online, show people who you are, because that's how they're going to work with you. You need to show the world who you are. So.
And the funny thing too is, like, if you're somebody out there that's just getting started doing this, don't worry about how many likes you get on there. Don't worry about the comments that you get on there, because what'll happen is just what you talked about. There's somebody just lurking in the shadows. They're watching, and then when the time is right or something happens, then that's when the reach out happens. And it doesn't matter. They could have never liked anything, but they reach out to when they need you.
I tell people, I'm like, listen, how many likes did you get on a photo? They're like, 10. Okay, cool. Would you be really happy if you got 10 sales this month? Absolutely. Okay, great. What are you crying for? Because that's 10 people that just engaged with you that probably would do business with you. You're like undervaluing it. You're looking at like 5,000 people you need. It's like you only need a couple people a month to follow you and like you and add value to, you know. I know people have a ton of followers, but they don't really add a whole lot of value, and it doesn't translate into business for them. And I know people that have a few followers, but they add a lot of value in what they do, and it translates into a lot of business with them. So focus on the quality, focus on being authentic. That'll go way further than not doing anything at all. Like, you're so worried about people judging you, but guess what? Not even getting a phone out and doing anything, your guaranteed success rate, friggin' 0. So
yeah, and I don't know, it's just I think people have to shift their mindset, and that's a lot about what you talk about is shifting your mindset and how you look at things and how you view things, and not letting what other people do around you impact, you know, what you're doing for yourself.
You'll never have 100% success rate. Like, you line up 100 people in the street, you put your hand out to shake them, you're going to get 4 or 5 people pull their hand back. They're not going to shake your hand, and that's okay. Did that ruin your experience with meeting the other 96 amazing people? Well, I don't think so, but
yeah. Well, one other thing I want to ask you too is, what is something that you feel like the average consumer doesn't really understand about real estate that they probably should understand?
I don't think the average consumer understands, like, net offers, number one, net profits on a lot of stuff. You know, that's the one thing they look at. People get so stuck on the top dollars, top sales price on everything. But number two, I don't think they really understand the benefit of, like, ownership and buying properties and whatnot. You know, you get people that opt to rent, and you say, why? Well, I don't know. Well, you're paying $23, $24 a month. You're just never going to get that money back. I'm just so passionate about it because my growing up, my parents didn't really, we got foreclosed on a couple times. We're in rental properties. Like, my dad's nearing the end of his life and has literally nothing to show for himself because he just didn't have good financial sense. And so my whole drive as I became an adult was like, I'm not ending up in that position. I'm not leaving my kids in that position, you know. And as somebody, as a testament, like, real estate's made me a lot of friggin' money, not just from being a sales agent. I mean, just actively owning and investing into real estate and buying properties. You look at people that will go slave at a friggin' job for 40 hours a week, drive and sit in traffic for 2 hours to make 30, 40K. And it's like, if you bought one house that needed a little bit of work and you lived in that house and you painted it and you cleaned the friggin' landscape up on it and you bought it in a good location and you got it under value, and that entire year you spent driving into work making 40, 50K a year, but you came home and you did some painting on the weekend, you cleaned the yard up, and then you sold that house in 2 years and you just made 80 grand. You just doubled your income by owning a house. That's it. Like, that, at a bare minimum, just do just that, and you just doubled your income. And it definitely didn't take you 40 hours a week to do those things. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't. It's just that simple mind perspective shift of how can I get more creative and make money with real estate, you know, and I don't think a lot of people pay attention to that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I think they get caught up in what they hear from other people. And like, the best advice I give to people is, you know, again, it goes back to consider the source. Okay, is this person that's advising you real estate's a bad investment, it's risky or whatever, how many properties do they own?
Are they an investor?
How much have they made in real estate? Like,
Are they an investor? Nothing. Oh, they've owned their house for 20 years? Okay. They haven't bought and sold anything. I agree with you 100%.
You find somebody that's invested in real estate, they've, by and large, practically every time, made a lot of money at it. Yeah. Like, maybe listen to them. Might be a good idea.
The more expensive the house, the more money you make. Like I said, you do really good on the lower price. I mean, there's money to be said on either way, right? If you're in a lower price point, there's always a high demand because it's a large buyer pool right there. But there's good deals in every market. In a hot market, down market, slow market, you could still get a phenomenal deal. You know, even in a down market, that's the time to buy. When the market's like slow, get in there and buy because it only has one way to go up. And even if it goes down a little bit more, you're probably going to be holding that for 2 or 3 years to avoid capital gains. You're that first-time home buyer or even second family like what I did. Just take it, get into the friggin' thing, buy one that's a little bit ugly that you know I could sit on this thing for a couple years and I'll make it really pretty, I'll make it nice, and double your friggin' money. Like, that's
it. YouTube University. You can figure out how to fix a house up.
All over the place. All over. Yeah.
So if anybody's watching or listening and they think that they might want to have you help them out with their real estate stuff, how do they reach you?
You can find me on social media. Blake Sells AZ. It's Blake_Sells_AZ. Blake B. Clark on Facebook. I'm on there as well too. YouTube, same thing. Blake Sells AZ. I put out videos like every single day on there. Free advice, free knowledge, free. I break down how I buy rental properties. I break down basically the motivation side of things. You know, better mindset, things like that. Business owner tips, tricks, everything. I'm all over the place. Just type.
Yeah, you're not hard to find.
No.
And get up at 4:30 in the morning and go on a walk with Blake.
Get up at 4:30 a.m. Yeah, start your day off right.
That's it. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule and joining us. Yeah, absolutely. And appreciate you guys joining us. Again, tune in next week. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification button on YouTube, and make sure that you subscribe and give us a good rating for us on the podcast platform that you like to listen on. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week on the next episode of the Uncensored Real Estate Podcast. Take care.
Thanks for joining us, and please remember to go and subscribe, like, share, all that cool stuff to help us grow, and come back to listen to our next episode. Until then, go out and live life uncensored.
Thanks for listening to the Uncensored Real Estate Podcast. Don't forget to help us out and subscribe. Follow and give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. And check us out on YouTube for the full video podcast. If you want more information on any of the topics discussed on today's episode, email us at uncensoredrealestatepodcast@gmail.com or give the Cardenas Mortgage team a call at 480-331-4684.